Hello, everyone. Welcome to Homework Help. Let's get started. Number one, in room 7, there are 28 students. Room 9 has 30. Room 11 has 23. How many students are in all three rooms? So we have to add up the total or the amount in each room. So room 7, room 9, room 11 gives us the total. So from there, all we have to do is substitute values. In this instance, S for 7 is 28. And then we have N for 9, which is 30. And room 11 has 23.
My neck.
Okay, cool. This total. Number 2. And from there, all you have to do is, divide the add-ins to solve. If the total number of students in problem 1 were equally distributed among 3 rooms, how many students would be in each room? Well, in problem 1, we have 1, 2, 3 total rooms. So you'd have to take your total from the first problem. And if we're going to divide it equally, we have to divide it by 3. So, for number 2, the largest state is Alaska, has an area of about 663,000 square miles. The smallest state, Rhode Island, has an area of about 1,500 square miles. About how many more square miles is Alaska than Rhode Island? So, since we're talking about how many more, we're going to take the number for Alaska, subtract Rhode Island, and that's going to give us a difference. So, for A, we're going to substitute it with 663,000, and for R, we're going to substitute it with 1,500. Number 4a, write the formula for perimeter of a square. So we know that for the perimeter, we're just adding up all the sides together. So, or that we just multiply 4 times one side since they're all the same for the perimeter. Now, for B, a landscape planner designed a square garden that is 20 feet long per side. How many feet of border are needed to surround the garden? So, essentially, one of the sides in this instance is 24. So we're going to take 4s to find the perimeter, but in this instance, s is equal to 24 feet. Number 5, diagram the statement and answer the question as follows. 5/9 of the 36 spectators were happy with the outcome. How many spectators were happy? How many were not happy? So since it's 5/9, that means we need 9. We need to make a diagram box with 9 squares. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's just go ahead and include that one. And since 5/9 were happy with the outcome, that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each of these were happy with the outcome of the 36. So since we have a total of 36 and we have 9 boxes, we need to split it evenly. So 36 divided by 9 gives us 4 spectators per group. So we fill each of these in with 4. 5 of those were happy with the outcome, and the other 4 groups were not happy with the outcome. So you just have to multiply the number of boxes by the number in each box to find how many were happy, and then same thing over here, but for the not happy. Number 6, in the following statement, change the percent to a simplified fraction, then diagram the same and answer the questions. 25% of the 3 dozen plants are blooming. What fraction of the total number of plants are not blooming? So 25% are blooming. That means that 75% are not. So as a fraction, you would change the percentage to a fraction by putting it over 100. And then you're going to simplify that. Now, how many are not blooming? From there, once you simplify that, you're going to make your diagram box, which is going to have 4 parts. And so we're going to ignore that there. That's not part of this. So of 3 dozen, that means that of the 36. And since there's 4 parts, that means that 36 divided by 4 is 9. If we have, so from there, once you simplify this fraction, you just got to count the number of boxes that are not blooming. Add them all up. What fraction of the rectangle is shaded? So we have to count how many total squares there are, which looks like there's 10. And then how many are shaded. And make sure we simplify. Now to turn the not shaded into a percent, since it's out of 10, you just have to make it into a fraction out of 100 and change it to an equivalent fraction. How many 1/4 are in 1? For number 8a. So we make a box. We split it up into 4s. How many 1/4 do we have total? So how can you use the answer part A to find the number of 1/4 in 3? Well, you would just take the answer in A and multiply it by 3. Multiply. This should be pretty simple because you end up multiplying by 0 at the end. And no matter what you're multiplying, if you end up multiplying by 0, the answer is 0, which is the 0 property of multiplication. Number 10, simplify and compare. So here we have multiplying the reciprocals, which is 1. And then 3 divided by 3 is also 1. So it's 1 minus 1. And then we have 3/3 minus 1/3, which is 2/3, times 3/1. And then from here, we can just simplify and compare to see if it's less than, greater than, or equal to. Draw a rectangle ABCD. So if you have a ruler, great. If not, just draw the rectangle so that AB is 2 inches. That means the long side is 2 inches and the short side is 1 inch. And then we can label the units. This is 2 inches. This is 1 inch. What is the perimeter of rectangle ABCD? So we just add up all 4 sides. The area, we multiply the length times the width. The sum of the measures of all 4 angles. When a rectangle, they're all 90-degree angles. So you would just add them all up. Write the prime factorization for each number. Again, you can use a factor tree. So, and then just continue. Or you can use division by primes if you want. And then continue dividing. Square root of 900. The square root of 9 is 3. And then since there's 2 zeros, we only take 1 0 out. And then you have to find the prime factorization of 30. 13. For each fraction, write an equivalent fraction as a denominator of 60. So we just have to change every fraction to have a 60 in the denominator. And we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by a common factor. That'll get us to the desired denominator we want. Add the 3 fractions with denominators of 60 from problem 13 and write their sum as a mixed number. So you're just going to add up these 3 values once you have them changed. Remember that you're going to have to multiply to find your equivalent fractions. And then once you have them all with the same denominator, you add them up and then simplify if you can into a mixed number. Arrange these numbers in order from least to greatest. Remember, 0 is the dividing line. Everything to the left is going to be negative. And then everything to the right is going to be positive. So all the numbers that are bigger than 0 are going to be the positive numbers. So just keep that in mind. I'm not putting them in order. That's up to you to do. Well, actually, it looks like I did put them in order. So everything to the right of 0 is a positive number. If one card is drawn from a regular deck of cards, what's the probability that it will be a heart? Well, in a deck of cards, there are 4 suits, and there's 13 of each. And there are 52 cards total. And it is your job to simplify that. Find the value of each variable. Since we're adding, we're going to subtract. Unfortunately, we already have the same denominator. So we just need to subtract and simplify if possible. 18, 11 and the x are being multiplied, which means we need to use the inverse operation and divide. 19, since the subtrahend is the number value, we're going to use inverse operations. So we're going to add to both sides. 20, 10 squared times 10 to the 5th equals 10n. Since we have the same base, we can just go ahead and combine the exponents to find the value of n. 21, simplify. Since we're adding and all the denominators are already the same, we only operate on the numerators and simplify. For 22, since we're multiplying, we multiply straight across and we operate on both numerator and denominator and simplify if we can. You can also use your canceling method that we went over yesterday. 23, 5, 6 squared. So that tells us that we have 2, 5, 6. Now we're going to multiply. Or you could do 5 squared over 6 squared. 24, we have 30 squared, square root of 30 squared. So you could do 30 squared and find the square root of that. Or recognize that roots and powers are inverse operations and cancel each other out, leaving you with the number underneath. 25, give reasons for the steps to simplify the following expression by using commutative, associative, inverse, and identity properties of multiplication. So, commutative means we have to change the order first. So if I want to change the order, I want to write 3 over 1 times 1/3. And I do that because I see that those are inverse. Those are reciprocals. Associative means that we have to put something in parentheses, so we can take care of that first. So I'm going to put these two in parentheses as a little group. Inverse just means that when we multiply two reciprocals, we're going to get a value equal to 1, right? And then for identity, anything multiplied by 1 is just itself. So since all this equals 1, the value is just 2/3. So make sure that you list the steps. Like for commutative, show me that you wrote it in a different order. For associative, show me that you put in parentheses. For inverse, show me that this product was 1. And for identity, just that you multiply by 1 to get the same thing. Right, 1.5 and 1 2/3 is improper fractions. So remember that we multiply and then add. So we have 3 halves. And then 1 times 3 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. Keep the same denominator. Then multiply them and write the product as a mixed number. So we're going to multiply straight across, or we can use canceling. Whatever fraction we have left, if it's an improper fraction, divide it to turn into a mixed number. 27, a package that weighs 1 pound 15 ounces is how many ounces? Well, we already know that it's 5 ounces, which is great. Sorry, I said 15 ounces. 5 ounces. And then we just have to convert 1 pound to ounces, which is 16 ounces. And then you combine the two. 28, use a protractor to draw a 45-degree angle. If you don't have a protractor, that's fine, because we know that 45 is just half of 90, and 90 is just a 90 is just a right angle. So we can draw a right angle, and then we can just cut it in half, like so. And this is your 45-degree angle. Find the next number in the sequence and explain how you found your answer. Well, it looks like what we're doing is we're dividing by 10 every time. So, you know, we went 1 and then it was 1 over 10. So the next one should be 1 over, you know, a previous number. We are going to get into dividing fractions next week. So we'll be able to figure that out without having to, you know, justify it a different way. Write an odd negative integer greater than -3. So it needs to be odd, and it also needs to be negative, and it also needs to be a whole number, but it also has to have a value of greater than -3. So make sure that, you know, remember that something like -5 is negative, is odd, but it's not greater than -3, because to be greater than -3 it has to be closer to 0. And there's actually only one number that fits that description. All right, extra credit time. Give me the state capitals of Rhode Island and Alaska. So state capitals of Rhode Island and Alaska for extra credit. All right, this has been your homework help. Hope you have a great day, and we will see you later.